So glad that you came today. And it's pumpkin season now that it's October, yeah? Have you been making anything with pumpkin lately? This week I've made some pumpkin cookies, some pumpkin pancakes, and some pumpkin marinara. Now pumpkin marinara might not sound all that great, but it actually is a very savory thing. You can flavor squash, because pumpkin is a type of squash, to be savory or sweet. Today on our program we're going to do something that's more sweet. I'm going to do a pumpkin pie granola smoothie, one of my special creations that used to be very, very popular in my smoothie shop. By the way, my name is Matthew Yarnell, and I enjoy making all sorts of things in my kitchen. I hope that you enjoy it too, and will hit those like and subscribe buttons both here on Facebook and over on YouTube, and help us out a little bit. Okay, we are going to get started with a little bit of almond milk, which I've got to grab out of the refrigerator here. Made this earlier. You just want to shake it up, or if you have a more fancy pitcher that has a plunger type of a thing, you can use that to help stir it up. So I'm going to do 1.5 cups of some almond milk. Want to make sure that it's chilled so that the blender already adds some warmth to the smoothie or whatever it is you're making. So that's why you can also make some soups and just add a little bit of warmth to them if you don't want to cook them. So make sure it's chilled, and 1.5 cups of that, and then we're going to throw in some pumpkin flaxseed granola. This is going to be kind of like the crust, if you will, and I'm going to do about 1/3 cup of that. And that over here. And I want to do some apple juice ice cubes. So we're going to do a good, we're going to do 2/3 cup on that. I want 2/3 to 3/4 cup of apple juice ice cubes. Very nice and chilled. This will help keep the smoothie cold as you are drinking it. You can sip on it a little bit longer. Sip those over on the side. And then, how about 1/3 or 1/4 cup of some frozen sliced banana or some coconut milk ice cubes. So, your choice on that. Today I'm out of banana, so I'm going to use some coconut milk. I'm going to fill this up to about 1/3 cup. So yes, it goes over, but there's lots of gaps there, so just imagine it all melting and being filled in there. And then we're going to put in some dates to help sweeten this up. The dates I have here are kind of small. If you're using medjool dates, maybe you only need a couple, 1 or 2. I'm going to throw in, I think I'm going to throw in 4, because they are so small. I'm just squeezing them together. They say they're pitted, but every once in a while there is a pit. Also, I'm going to pull this one out. Sometimes the little tip where it connected is also on there too. Both of those, the pit and the top, neither of them blend, so you want to make sure that you remove them. And what would a pumpkin pie be without some vanilla? So you can throw in some vanilla extract or some vanilla protein powder. I'm going to do about 1 teaspoon of that. You can blend it up, taste it. Do you want to add a little bit more? You could add a little bit more. And of course, some cinnamon and some nutmeg and maybe a little bit of clove, or just some pumpkin pie spice. So about a teaspoon of that. Throw that in. And then toss this over here. Clear off my counter space so I can see what I've added and what I still need to add. I like throwing in a little bit of salt to help with the flavor of the squash. So I'm going to do about 1/4 of a teaspoon. You can reduce that if you so desire. Again, to taste. And if you want a little bit more protein, you can throw in some coconut protein powder, which is just some dried coconut and ground up pumpkin seed and some pea, or just some pumpkin seed by themselves. So, teaspoon, half tablespoon or so. I do about a half a tablespoon. There was already some pumpkin seed with the granola that I threw in, so throw that in. And then of course, you've got to throw in your squash, your pumpkin or your butternut squash. So what you want to do is cube your squash kind of small and then freeze it. Okay? Or if you're not wanting to cut up the squash, you can open up just a regular can of pumpkin and then use an ice cube tray and just put in little amounts into each of those and freeze it that way as well. So a good 2/3 of a cup of pumpkin or butternut squash. Both are very tasty. They have a similar flavor. So there we go. And I'm going to throw that onto the blender and give it a whirl. Probably hear the blender still trying to get through the ice cubes. Some of it freezes very, very tightly, so wow, that sounds better. Now, I'm going to take this off here, and it's a little bit thick. So if that's a little bit thick for pulling up through a straw for you, add a little bit more almond milk. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to add just a little bit more almond milk here and thin that out. I can take that up to about 2/3 of a cup. Which then we might be adjusting some spices as well. But let's pulse that in and see what happens. There we go. That's better. All right. So let's give this a taste. See where we're at. Personally, I think it's tasting really well, so I'm not going to adjust my spices on that at all. So from my kitchen to yours, this is a pumpkin pie granola smoothie. I thank you for coming. Remember that you can get my first recipe book. It's on MatthewYarnell.com for free. It's got about 10 recipes. And I'll also leave a link below to be able to gain access to all my recipes. So until next time, my friends, I'll be seeing you in the kitchen.